Ever since Yang was introduced, it provided players who won their fight with a buff as a reward. There were 3 main buffs you could take, but most preferred taking Vermilion's Bird during the first Yang, as it provided you with the second soul, Mystic Might for the second Yang, as it provided you with damage reduction as well as a 100-meter radius where you can spot enemies. Draco Storm was the third buff, however, it considered to end shortly, and there were not much merit to take it over Mystic. However, now during the recent update, it became 180 seconds or roughly 3 minutes, just as much as the others. The White Tiger buff is possibly one of the most insane buffs, and it will still make sense to get even in the first Yang gate. Firstly, the buff lasts the same amount of time as the others, which is for 3 minutes. The thing you'll notice the most is that you can generate HP during the entire time the buff is active. When I tested the health generation, I found out it heals 25 HP per second, which means that depending on the type of armor you have, it can take 35 to 40 seconds to completely heal your broken armor, provided your basic health is full. When I compared this to Zipping's V1 Ultimate, it took her 15 to 20 seconds to heal a broken armor depending on which armor she had. Which I know can seem not that much considering the buff is double the time, but trust me when I say this is actually rather insane, especially when you're in a long fight and have no time to heal. The second advantage you'll get with this buff is the damage reduction for both melee and range resist that will permanently last even after the buff runs out. But in order to trigger this, you or your teammate must kill an enemy to obtain it. When I was testing this out, I found it gives you 2% melee reduction with 3% range damage reduction per kill. Keep in mind though, this only applies if the person who originally took the buff is still alive. That, and there is actually a limit of 3 kills for the buff, giving you a maximum of 3% melee reduction and 9% damage range reduction respectively. Which is quite impressive still, considering it's permanent for the rest of the match and does not tamper with your Jade build. So in theory, you could get a whopping 30% melee damage reduction or 49% range reduction depending on your Jade build and which damage reduction you max out. Now, one other thing you get out of this buff is that if the person who took the buff is still alive and either they or their teammates manage to defeat an enemy, within 40 meters of the team, the buff will release a shockwave that causes damage to any player in the surrounding area. Granted, it is only 50 HP damage and only affects their basic HP rather than armor. This can still be deadly when stacked up kills and can prove to give you a better advantage in case you find yourself fighting outside the zone, as it can give you a tremendous advantage coupled with the fact you have HP generation added, or even if you have poison jades or some form of fire damage at your disposal. Another thing to point out is that enemies who have been affected by the shockwave will momentarily be staggered for a split second, same as Viper V3, and depending on how fast you or your teammates' reflexes are, can give you a good opportunity to cause extra damage while your enemy is staggered. Thank you so much for sticking to the end of the video. If you liked my content, a sub to the channel would be amazing, and I am happy to announce a new upcoming project is gonna be released soon. please make sure to do the notification button so that you get to be the first person to see what I'm cooking. Thank you so much for watching. This is Excellium. Peace.